Making a grid bot from scratch can be a daunting task, especially for beginners. There are tons of settings and many factors to take into account. If you ever felt like you needed a helping hand to create a grid bot from scratch, then this is a video for you. Hello everyone, my name is Ares and I am the founder of Gaming, the crypto trading platform that helps you become a more profitable trader. In this video we're going to create a grid bot together, so let's go to my computer and get started. All right, here we are. Before we start, I like to make 3 notes. The first one is this is not financial advice. Do your own research. Crypto is risky. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. And all those disclaimers. The second one is that we're gonna go through the Gridbot settings in a while. And as you know, we are adding a lot of features to the platform. So if you're watching this video sometime in the future, some things might look different. And the third one is that I am by no means an expert on this subject. So I'm going to show you my process, how I think about when I want to create a grid bot, what my steps are. But you have to tailor this for you, for your risk tolerance, for your particular profile. Okay, I will show you how I do things. You should not just copy blindly, but you could use this as inspiration for your own process. Okay, so with that said, let's get into it. And I have made an overview here of what my process is. And you can see we're going to go through 5 steps. The first one is we're going to take a look at the screener first. And we're going to set up some conditions to find some candidates that may look good. We're going to look at market cap and the price, whether there is an uptrend, a downtrend, sentiment, volatility. Then we're going to load backtest and we're going to check the price chart. I'm looking for a consolidation range or with a slight uptrend. I don't want coins that are like shooting up or going down or doing anything weird. We're going to look for consolidation, and much better if it's near a long-term support. Of course, we need to have enough price history. It's not good to do a grid for a coin that was just released because we have no reference to what the price might do in the future by looking at what it did in the past. So yeah, that's another point that we'll take into account. Then we're going to talk a little bit about fundamentals because a lot of people jump into a grid bot with a coin that they know absolutely nothing about, and then the project fails or the price goes down and they wonder why. I don't know, maybe the developer wasn't good or the project hit some problem or regulatory problems. There are many things why a project can fail, so you have to do some basic research about the token before getting into it, and think for yourself, are you comfortable holding this coin in the long term? If you were to hold a red bag, are you prepared to hold this token for months? So you have to really ask yourself or all those questions before setting up the grid bot. Then on the fourth point, we're going to actually go through the settings, and depending on the coin we choose, we'll have some best settings. I will try to explain each of the settings anyway, and then you can do for your own setup. You have a reference for what those settings means. And then and the last point, we're going to talk about good versus bad decisions, and a little bit about risk management, and of course practice, because at the end of the day, you have a paper trading account that it costs you nothing to set up grid bots there to see how they perform, and you can learn a lot by failing multiple times. So yeah, that's the process we're going to follow. Okay, here we are on the screener, and now we can set up the filter to find potential coins. So the first thing we said is market cap less than 50. So here on the market on the market cap column. We can click on filter, and then we're gonna choose less than and 50. And then we said we're gonna check 7 days uptrend. We can do that if we go to the change 7 days, and we're going to just make sure it's positive, so more than 0. Positive sentiment on the last 30 days and volatility. The sentiment data goes from minus 1.5 to plus 1.5. If we're gonna filter by this, we can say maybe more than 1. I think that should be enough. And then the last one is volatility. We can actually also just add the filters from here. So the volatility on the last 7 days, we want maybe more than 3%. Now we have filtered all the tokens. We have 9 possible candidates. We have Chainlink, Near Protocol, Optimism. This is interesting results. And I'm just going to look at a few of them and then see what the chart looks like. And hopefully we're going to find a chart that is worth trading. We're going to open the presets. This one is for futures and I want to do it on spot. Let's look at this one. So this grid backtest was on from the 9th of August until the 8th of September, and today is September 20th. That was 12 days ago. Now we can open this in a new tab and we can load the settings and see what the price has done since then. Since it was a while ago, the price might as well be out of the price range, but let's take a look anyway. Okay, now the backtest has loaded. Let's take a look at the price chart to see if it meets the criteria we have set. Let's remove the line for now. I want to zoom out a little bit and we're going to look at the daily candles. All right, so Link versus USDT, and it looks like we are in a support zone and we have been trading on this zone since May up until now, September. It's definitely a consolidation area and near a long-term support. So those are checked if we look back at the criteria, and enough price history in range. Definitely is meeting that criteria. My only concern is that it looks like it's been a little bit too long here in this range. Why has not been any action after that? I don't know. I mean, I know Link is a top coin by market cap. It's a good project. So for the coin fundamentals, I'm not too scared to hold this coin for a while. But as you can see, it hasn't really moved much in months. If you're looking at profitability for the grid bot, this is going to be on the lower side. So for the sake of this video, I think we can take a look maybe at a couple of other charts, but this would be a candidate for a grid bot. As we can see, there is a lot of consolidation in this area, so a grid bot here could be fine. But let's take a look, maybe some other ones. Okay, Near Protocol. Let's load the back test. We have this one spot against BTC and against USDT. I personally prefer to trade against USDT. So we have the average daily 0.08%. It's not a lot, but it might be okay considering the market conditions. Let's take a look at the one for Chainlink because I forgot to take a look at that. 0.07. Yep. It's definitely a little bit slow. Let's check Optimism. So we have, okay, this is against BTC. This is for spot and average daily 0.19%. This is pretty good. We have, it's maybe fine. Let's take a look, maybe some other one. B-Chain. No, the daily is kind of low. And then Internet Computer. This is futures, and I want to do futures for now. So this is Ether and Bybit, also kind of low. Then we have Toncoin. It's a project I've heard. I don't know a ton about this project. I know it's some sort of token that you can send via Telegram with no fees. It seems that it has been increasing value. It has been ripping off a little bit lately. It's got a nice return, but this was tested on 20 days ago. We'll see if the price is still on range. That might be a good candidate. We said Optimism. It was good too, so maybe let's take a look. We have Link, which has been consolidating for a long time, and it can return 0.08%, I think it was. And then we have this one, Ton UST. We're gonna load settings. Let's take a look at the chart. Let's zoom out a little bit. We don't have a ton of price history on this chart. Then we have one issue here is that we are approaching this resistance level. I don't think I want to start a bot when the price is reaching this strong resistance, because it's been one, two, three times already, and three times have been rejected. So if you start a bot right now, there is a high chance that might still come down. I would not start a bot. And we got a really positive backtest result because it probably started somewhere here and then whoop, ripped up. So of course that was a really good time to have started the grid, but right now I don't think I would get into this coin. I mean, maybe if the price comes down here and it consolidates a little bit, maybe a good choice, but right now, no, I don't think so. And this one is OP. Let's load the settings. We zoom out one day and it's not bad. It's not bad. We're not near resistance like we were with tone. It seems like price has hit here some sort of strong support. It's kind of like bouncing up and it's like in a slight uptrend. So not bad, not bad. This chart doesn't look too bad for me. Let's take another look. So yeah, we have enough price history and range. It's near a long-term support area. Consolidation. Let's see. Yeah, it's been consolidating here for a while. It's not like ripping up or going down abruptly, so that's all right. Okay. So that looks good enough. So I think we can go to the next step, which is the coin fundamentals. Is this a solid project with real world utility? And to be fair, I don't know much about optimism. So at this point, I mean, you know, maybe we can do some like basic research. Doing fundamental analysis on a coin can take a lot of time. It's definitely could be a video on its own. So today we're not gonna dive very deep into it, but for the purpose of this video, at least check what the coin is about. Do some basic research on Google. So we can see this layer 2 for Ethereum. There are a few layer 2 for Ethereum already out there. So there's going to be competition for this one particularly. And that's something that we need to take into account. But I don't see anything like anything too bad about it. I like what I see. If I'm gonna do this on real money, I'll do a lot more research. I want to read the white paper, check who's the team behind it, see what the maybe what the adoption of the coin has been over time, the developer activity. There's a lot of things you can check to do fundamental analysis. Like I said, today we're not gonna do it, but it's good that you know how to do it. And it's also a very good question to think: is this a coin that I would like to hold long term? So once you've done this part, and please really don't skip it because it's really important, then you can go and set up the grid bot. And here I have also written down some questions. How long do I want to trade this coin for? Because if I'm talking about maybe a very long-term kind of grid, we're going to look for long-term and long-term support and resistance, and maybe try to make a wide enough grid range that the bot could be trading it for maybe a few months. Or if it's something that I want to trade maybe for a few weeks, I'll choose a smaller range. So find support and resistance that are a little bit closer to the price. And then, that will be a shorter duration. And then we're going to allocate the capital according to risk. So while we did our fundamental analysis, we got a better idea of how risky it is to invest in this project, and according to that, we can decide how much money to put into it. And it's always a good idea to not risk too much at once, even though the project might look really good, that you really like what they're about. Um, you know, I usually like to do something like around 3% of my bankroll. And there are several reasons for that. I don't want to risk too much into one coin at once. Um, there is a chance also that maybe we didn't, maybe some news comes out or something happens and the price goes down, and then it exit the lower part of the grid, and then maybe at that point, if we like this project enough, we can decide to make another grid. So I don't want to put too much capital up front. I'm going to say, okay, 3%, maybe for now, it's okay. If it goes down, I'm willing to put another 2 or 3%, maybe do another grid. So that's the way I go about this. You should have your own, your own decision making for this. And then we're gonna do a few back tests and see if we can find some good settings. So for now, um, we're gonna look at what the back test result for this one was. And as you can see, actually got the range pretty good. We got, let's take a look at the settings. We got 60 levels and 0.57%. Actually, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. If I were to start this from scratch, I would maybe have done a little bit wider grid step, but actually we can backtest that right now. So let's go from the beginning. We're gonna call this OP grid, and then we're going to check the settings. So on the strategy part, we have the profit currency, and we can choose to profit in base or to profit in quote. And the rule for this is pretty simple. Do you think that the base, the token in this case, OP, will appreciate over time? Or are we maybe near some sort of resistance and there's a chance that it may go down? Or you're not sure, okay? So if the answer is you think you're gonna appreciate over time, then it makes sense to profit in OP, okay? Especially if this is a coin that you are willing to hold for long term. Um, if you don't want to hold it for long term, or if you're not willing to hold this coin over the long term, then maybe better to just profit in USDT. I would profit in USDT for now, because I don't know a lot about this token, but after doing proper fundamental analysis, if I'm really into the project, then I might choose to profit in base. And now we have the order fixed in currency, which again, you can choose base or you can choose quote. And this is how you want to fix the quantity of the grid lines. And so we have USDT, so that means that each grid line is going to have in dollar amount a similar value. If we were to choose this in base, that means that each grid line has a similar amount of base per line. So what does that mean? Well, when you're fixing your order in dollar amount, you're going to have a similar profit between each line, whether you are at the bottom of the grid or whether you are at the top of the grid, okay? Because in dollar amount, they are, each grid line is the same. So this will be like a way to profit more or less, to have a more or less stable profit, no matter where you are on the grid line, on the grid range. If you choose to fix your orders on base, then that means that you have the same base amount, but dollar amount is going to be different, because here in the bottom, the value of the OP is going to be less than here at the top. So that means that in dollar amounts, you're profiting less at the bottom and more at the top. So you gotta think what you think is best for you, but there is also kind of a rule, which is it's best if you choose one profit currency that you choose the opposite for the order fixing. So if we're profiting in OP, it will make it easier if we're fixing our order on USDT and the other way around. Since we said we're going to profit in USDT, then we're going to fix our orders in OP. Now, direction, long or short. And the direction is something that is worth talking a little bit about, because especially in spot, some people get a little bit confused about what this means. On the long direction, what's going to happen is that when the bot starts, it's going to buy base, okay, and then it's gonna place the buy orders with a quote, and it's gonna buy enough base here at this point to put all the sell orders. Now, the bot is gonna start to operate, and if at some point we decide to close the bot, then if we stop it, the system is gonna ask, what do you want to do about the remainder base? Do you want to sell it? Okay, because the bot is expecting that all the base that it bought at the beginning, it must be sold. All right. So this is a typical buy low, sell high strategy. If we choose to go short direction, this means that the bot at this point is going to take the base from our balance, the OP, and is going to sell it, and is going to try to buy it, here at the lower buy levels. And so when the bot starts, it sells, and then it tries to buy it back. If at some point we decide to stop the bot while it's still, in mid operation, it's going to ask you, what do you want to do about the remainder base that you didn't buy back? Do you want to buy everything now, or you just want to leave it? So that is the difference between the two. On the long, you start with a buy order, and then you sell along the way. On the short, you start with a sell order for token that you should already have on your balance, and here we're talking about spot, right? You have to have it in your balance because you cannot short in spot. You can short in futures, so you don't need to have it in your balance then, but we're not going to go into futures grid today. So we're only talking about spot here. And so that is the difference between the two. There is also a difference in the way the profit is counted. For the long bot, we are counting profit every time there is a sell order, while on the short bot, we are counting profit every time there is a buy order. So in terms of reporting, there is a difference there as well. All right, so that's all about direction. Now we have start price. And this is just the price that you want the bot to start at. So say, for example, that we are on this range, and to be honest, it looks like a pretty okay place to start the bot. But let's say that for some reason you would wanna wait to see what the price does, and only start the bot if the price reach, for example, 1.5. No, you wanna see a little bit more uptrend before you get there. So we can enable this, and then we say, okay, if the bot reach 1.5, then start. And now you see that the buy and the sells have changed, because before we have buys and sell, it depends on the current price. But if we're planning to start the bot when the price is here, so these are the buy sells, and these will be these are the sell orders, and these are the buy orders. So that's the start price. Now we have the grid settings here, and we have for this particular plus 10 and minus 10 on the top and the low price. I will adjust this a little bit. I think we can get, I think maybe we could get better results if we go a little bit further. But actually, one thing I forgot to do is to check. No, okay, it's here. So for this one, we have 0.19 when this was run, which was on the 14th. The last day was the 14th of September, and today's the 20th. So it was 4 days ago. I think we could rerun a new one. And actually, I want to start it a little bit earlier. So at this price point, we have a similar price point here in July. So the 4th of July, and then after the 4th of July, there's a drop. So it will be interesting to see what the result will be if we take it from here. So we can do that now. And on the period, we're going to click on custom. And then we're going to July 4th. Up, doesn't really matter the time, up until today. And let's say the period, so we have it for later. And let's get started. So, oh wow, if we were to start on the 4th of July, we would have had a 0.46% daily, which is pretty good. I mean, if you compare with the buy and hold, so we got a 32% in profit and 34% of value change. I mean, up until today, that's pretty good. It's definitely a really good candidate for a grid. So now we could optimize this a little bit, and let's see what happens if we were to drag the buy up until here and the sell up until here, and I want to increase a little bit actually the grid step. We're gonna do it there. So as you know, grid step and grid levels, they are connected. So you can either choose, once you've set your top and bottom price, which you can do easily by dragging, by dragging this. Once you've changed that, you can either say how many grids you want, or you can set the grid step. So let's say that you want for a 1% grid step, we get 52 levels. If we were to say, okay, I want half, 0.5, so you're gonna need, double the number of levels. Or you could say, I want 30 levels, and then the system is just gonna calculate the grid step that you need for that. So I think one could be good for this particular case. And let's see, what do we get if we run this one, and we're gonna choose the same period of time. Okay, so we got 0.41% and a net result 0.41 and value change 0.34%. So we can compare the two of them here easily, and we can see that the one that was by the system is slightly better. I don't think it might not make a really big difference. So for now, we can just load again what the system has found. That seems to be working pretty okay. And okay. So grid levels, grid step, we got that. And then now we get to the grid type, and we have geometric and arithmetic. So what is geometric and what is arithmetic? Okay, so let me show you what's the difference. In a geometric grid, the difference in percent terms between one grid and the next is always the same percentage. So in here is always 0.57% between one and the next. If we change this to arithmetic, what is constant is the price difference in absolute terms, like in dollar terms. So I don't know what would be the difference here, but you can see all the lines are now exactly positioned the same space one from another. So, I mean, if we're talking, for example, about Bitcoin, a grid that is arithmetic could be like every $100. So at 20,000, 20,100, 20,200, and so on. So that's a difference between the two. And with arithmetic, you will see that there is more buy orders than on, sorry, with geometric, there is more buy orders than arithmetic, because as you go down in price, they're closer together to one another. So there is advantage and disadvantages with that. Actually, we could backtest, see if that makes a difference. And let's see if we get better result with arithmetic. And it was sort of similar, kind of similar. Actually, it's slightly better. Oh, but the value change is just slightly less on the value change. So it doesn't make much of a difference. But since this one is just slightly higher, let's just continue with this and use geometric one. Okay, and then we get to the cell displacement. So what is a cell displacement? This is a percentage that is added between a buy order and the corresponding cell. And we do this because we need to overcome the exchange fees, right? If you add, for example, a grid step that is too low and we don't take into account the exchange fees, then you risk selling at a loss, actually losing money. So we cannot allow you to lose money. So this 0.2% is a minimum. And this is twice the exchange fee, because you gotta buy and then you gotta sell. So and the exchange fee in Binance here is 0.1%, so 0.2. However, you can increase this if you want, and the effect of that would be that it's gonna space things in the middle. So you will have more buy orders here and more sell orders here. Let's see what happens if we increase that. You see, starts to increase the distance between this buy and the corresponding sell for this buy. Sometimes that's useful, like if you're trading in a range. Okay, we cannot put too much space here because it's going to compress too much the orders. Let's just leave it at the minimum. So it's 0.2. Sometimes if you're like on a range that it's been going through the top, from the top to the bottom many times, and you want to you only have a few grid lines because of budgeting reasons or whatever, and you want to optimize that, it may make a little sense to actually increase the spacing here and just let the buy orders be near support and let the sell orders be near resistance. And you can do that with the cell displacement. So for this particular example, it doesn't really matter. So now we get to the budget, and the budget is a really important question because the budget is linked to the risk for your account in general, right? If you have, say, $1,000 to trade and you put a $400 budget here, then that's a pretty big portion of your bankroll onto this grid bot. And I will never recommend that you do something like that. You should aim to use I don't know. I mean, it depends on preference and what's your risk tolerance. For me particularly, I try not to go more than 3 to 5% unless it's a coin that I really want to accumulate over the long term. And for me, those are Bitcoin, Ethereum, and it was BNB before, but now with Binance running into so many problems, not even that now, just Bitcoin and Ethereum. So if it's those two, I don't mind to put a big chunk of money. But if it's something else, then no. To me, it's like 5%, as I say. You will, have to think about that. It also depends uh, on the grid settings. If you have too many lines, then you need a bigger budget. But let's say that you have $1,000 and you want to spend, I don't know, 50. Okay, that would be 5%. Now you can't for this particular bot because the minimum is 335. Okay, and what would you do in that case? Then you have to decrease the number of grid levels. It's as simple as that. Just make enough grid levels so that it's allowed within your budget. It's allowed within your budget, and run a few more backtests to see which one, what spacing you will need to get, and whether arithmetic or geometric might be better. I mean, here you need to, do a little bit of trial and error, and I'm sure you'll come up with some, pretty decent bot as well. The other setting here is the smart orders, and for this, if you enable this, these are the number of orders that are going to be sent to exchange as a limit order. And you can see here that we've selected 6, which is 3 on top and 3 on the bottom, and the rest are like grayed out, and it says smart order. That means that we haven't sent these ones to exchange. And when we don't send to exchange, there are some advantages to that, because we're not locking the funds on the limit orders. So those funds are free, and that's especially useful if you have like a really wide range where there are like 200 orders, and you don't want to lock every single uh, every single grid line from the bottom of the grid, because you're gonna lock a big amount of quote into that grid bot, and maybe the price is really far from that. There is a very low chance that you're gonna need that anytime in the near future. So if you activate the smart orders, we're only gonna send to exchange those that are around the price action, and then you have the rest of the funds available to do as you please. Now, one thing that is important to take into consideration here is that don't write a very low number here, because if you do that and then there's a big candle that goes through all your active orders, so the bot, there is a chance that it might not have enough time to send new orders to exchange, and you may miss some. So for example, this is a daily candle, we may need to go down. Sorry. If we go down to the 1 hour, and we see that we got some candles that are okay, it's not super crazy. So 1.5, yeah. I mean, the biggest one here was around, yeah, 2. So let's say we want to cover at least 3% down from the price and 3% up for the price. So since we have our grid step is 0.6, if we have 6, that means that we have, there you go, about 1.8, 1.9 on the top, and the same at the bottom. Okay. So I would actually increase this a little bit more, maybe 12, and then with that we're ensure that the grid bot is not going to miss any orders. All right, so that's that. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, the smart orders might also be useful if you are running other bots on this coin pair, because the exchange has a limit of, I think, around 200 orders per coin pair. So if you have, say, a couple of grid bots on the same coin, or you're running a really huge grid bot that has more than 200 lines, then you're going to need to activate this one, because you cannot send all of them to exchange. You're going to run into that limitation. Okay, and the last two are the stop loss and the take profit. And these are good uh, these are good ways to limit your risk, and I strongly recommend that you consider using them. I almost always use them. I might not use them if it's a coin that, like I said, I'm willing to hold for the long term, and those are Bitcoin, Ethereum. That's it. For everything else, I'm gonna use a stop loss. And for the stop loss, we can choose a market order or limit order. I recommend you choose market because this is gonna it's gonna get executed instantly. It might not get the best price, but if you're in a situation where you need to get out of the coin because the project is have some bad news or whatever, and people is selling, um, if you choose a limit order, um, you know, you might get stuck with that bag until the limit order is filled, if and when it's filled. So I recommend market order, but you can choose whatever you want. And then we have two options for the stop loss conditions, which are value change and price reach. So value change, that's the value of the bot, and it's actually also counting profit. So if you wanna say um, stop the bot when you've reached minus 15% or minus 25%, and if the bot has accumulated enough profit during this consolidation, then it's going to help you not reach that stop loss, because the more profit accumulate, the harder it is going to um, get the minus 25% value change, right? So you got to think about that. Price reach is also a good way to limit. And say, for example, that this is your last grid here on around 1.5. I would say, if you, again, we're gonna zoom out a little bit. We're gonna, oh, sorry. Mm, if I were to put a stop loss here, I might want to do it maybe around this area, uh, to leave a little bit of breathing room in case the price goes under, but then it's rebound here in the past. So I would set it maybe around 1 perhaps, or 1.02, somewhere around there. And then we have the stop loss action, which is you can either stop and just cancel the grid orders, and then you will have to sell the base on your own. And you can do that from the smart trading terminal or whatever, if you want to have a more control of how you sell that base. Or you can choose to have the bot to sell the base as well, if you want to just get out of the coin immediately and you want to let the bot handle that. And the next section is a take profit, and it just works the same way, but you will do it when you are in profit. So you can have a value change that is positive. Say, okay, I wanna stop the bot when it's reached 25% value change, and again, it's counting the profit. So with the value change of the base that the bot has purchased plus the profit, when it reaches 25%, then it will take the action, which is same as the other two, same as the stop loss, stop and cancel orders, or stop, cancel orders, and sell base. As far as setting goes, that's pretty much it. Once you found the settings that you like, then you will add the bot, and then all right, it's going to ask you to start, and then okay. All right, I don't have enough USDT on this paper trading account. That's why I cannot start the bot. But this is the part where it will tell you what actions the bot is gonna take, and you will start. All right, so that's all about the settings, and now I wanna just talk about a few things before I end the video, and that is good decisions versus bad decisions. And people think that when you have a bot and then you make profit, that means it was a good decision or good settings. And then if you have the bot and you're holding a red back, that was a bad decision. And actually, that's not true. Um, a good decision is when you have a process in place, you have a criteria, and you follow your criteria, and you stick to your principles, and you start the bot. And now, if you do that and you have a good criteria that you've tested and you've optimized over time, then most of your bots or most of your trading will end up in profit. Or actually, it doesn't even need to be most. It just needs to be enough so that you make profit over the long term. And some of them actually will not make money. Some bots will end up losing money because there are things outside of your control, and those could be like something happened to the project, some regulatory problem, maybe they got hacked, whatever it is, people sold. You could not have you could have not predicted that event, and at the end you ended up with a loss. But it doesn't mean it was a bad decision if you had followed a good process. And that's what I'm getting at. You can also do like start a bot and get lucky and end up with a profit, but you didn't follow any decision at all, any process, and you just happened to get lucky. So, well, was that a good decision? No, it was a bad decision because you didn't follow any principle, any process. You just got lucky. So my point here is that this is why I'm showing this video about my process, because when you have a process in place, then you're just increasing your chances of being profitable over the long term. And related to that is risk management. It's really important that you use stop loss, that you use take profit, that you don't risk too much capital at once, that you do proper research on the coin, and just don't ape in on something because you're FOMO or whatever. Take into account what risk you're taking each time you're starting the bot, and if you practice good risk management, then there is a more chance you're gonna stay profitable also during the long term. And the last point is just practice, man. I mean, you have a paper account that is free. You can put all the money that you want in there. You can start 100 bots. You can repeat this process as many times as you want and do it for free and not risk any money at all. If the bot fails, well, that was a lesson. You've learned something. If the bot makes a good profit, then you've also learned. You didn't earn anything, but you've gained knowledge. And a lot of people really under practice. They just don't do it enough. And I think this is a mistake, because there is so much you can learn from making mistakes and improving your process, so that every time you make a mistake, you make a note on your process to say, oh, next time I should definitely check this. Or next time, I should do that. So it's a process. Trading is learning, and if you have a protocol that you follow, then you're just increasing your chance of being profitable over the long term. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say. I hope you learned something from this video. Let me know if what things you agree with, what things you don't agree with in the comments, or join our trading communities. We are on Discord and Telegram. Come say hi. Um, just let me know whatever you want about this video, about your process, and let's talk over there. All right, so that's all. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.